Hello, Cedric Kennedy here, CR Wrestling Commentary. Viewer requested thoughts on Jay Lethal signing with AEW. And first, normally I'd have a background with this. That's what I would normally do, have a background. It'd be Final Fantasy 11, some kind of stationary thing while I do this, just in case y'all wanted something in the background. I'm getting ready to do CR Fire Pro Road, so that's no commentary, music in the background, and just see some devastating wrestling. You know, honestly, sports based and competitive work ethic style. Not any other style. I'm struggling here, Zimbo times two. You put a challenge out there to me about every. I gotta take a shot at indie wrestling every chance I get. It's a struggle. Because it's so easy. It is. Because it's such a great example of the decline of everything. But, hey, I'm going to say this. Watch AEW Full Gear, the first match, MJF and Darby Allin. That match was epic. That's a 5-star match. That's classic old school with a modern twist. In the beginning, you could kind of see through it a little bit. Just a little bit, and then they said we're gonna stop this and get on with the thing. Epic, classic ending, beautiful. Hey, I busted tears on that match. I loved it. I loved it. MJF is a genius. Okay, now let's get on with this. Jay Lethal signing with AEW, and Zemo times 2 says he has mixed feelings about it. He wanted to get my thoughts on it. Okay, so I didn't know Jay Lethal had signed with AEW until I was like, it's late, it's quiet in the house. I need something to listen to. So I was like, I'll just find some June Cornette. And I was like, oh, there's some new stuff. And then I was like, who's this picture of? It looks like, a thinner New Jack or something. And it was like Jay Lethal signing with AEW. And I was like, what? Why? This is gonna sound strange, okay? And this is probably you might be thinking this too, all right? But I thought, all right, just hear me out, all right? Anybody listening? I thought, well, why not go to the NWA? They're coming up. They're putting on really good shows. Rustic feeling, rustic lighting is great. It's beautiful. NWA is, man, they just, by any means necessary, that was great. It was a nice cage match at the end, more or less a classic ending. And I mean, like, they kind of overdid it, but it wasn't bad by any means. Good ending. And they can still work with that. They can still work with that and push a storyline, because I was into it. I was into that match. I was into that series. So Jay, why not go to the NWA? And to be honest with you, he doesn't fit there. If you really look at the landscape of the National Wrestling Alliance at the moment, there's some little dudes there. Jay ain't little. And there's some big dudes there. But Jay ain't big. Jay is a hybrid. And it's, how can I say this? The lethal injection, that back handspring from the ropes into the ace crusher, it's not Jay's fault. It's just never looked amazing to me. And and it would be a company where you don't necessarily see people fall for that type of thing. He would need to alter how that finisher is. Plus, that move has been buried by people getting by Bobby Fish, who's been suplexing people into the ropes. Well, if Jay does the back handspring, he should take some damage and be all messed up, shouldn't he? Because it ain't no different than an upside down Irish whip. You just fall on your face. You protect yourself well. So that's how I'm seeing that. But there's no... Jay Lethal he can put on an amazing match. And in that guise, the way, like this guy's, in that guise, that way, that form, that fashion, he could fit in the NWA with his promo style and if he does the more pure style instead of the pro wrestling style, he would fit in like a puzzle piece. It'd be beautiful. So that's where the NWA is. I'm like, he won't fit in because he's gonna, pro wrestling style, it's not gonna fit. But the pure wrestling style that he does, it'd be beautiful. Because the pure wrestling is you're killing a lot of the wrestling part, a lot of strikes, and you're trying to out wrestle. And yeah, he can do all of his moves. He can do every single one of them. It just won't be any punching and whatnot like that. So I'm still iffy because NWA is there and it's still, in a sense, finding itself. It's still trying to set the board. Jay Lethal just wouldn't fit there right now. All right, the way it is, he won't fit. Now, could he go to WWE? Well, yeah. Would they want him? No. And if they got him, they bury him. There's no, legitimately, he don't fit in NWA right now. But WWE, he wouldn't fit, period. Not at all. It wouldn't look right. It would look weird. Jay is an off-the-cuff promo. He's not going to do the scripted stuff. He's not going to do the scripted matches. Well, he would because he's getting paid 6 or more figures a year, probably. Or at least he's getting somewhere in the millions. So, yeah, he would do it, but it'd be for the pay. He's not going to go to Game Changer Wrestling. He might appear there maybe, but Game Changer Wrestling, no. No. Just no. No. Just no. I'm thinking so many things, like how he looked, how it could go. Jay Lethal, all of his moves would just get buried. He have a strong showing his first 2 to 3 or 4 matches, and then after that, it'd be a spam fest of big moves, and it's just no. AEW, how can I say this? Jay fits with AEW to an extent, because AEW is like the NWA and Ring of Honor with certain people and certain matches, and then it drops down into, how can I say, GCW with a policy. That's what it looks like. That's what AEW is. Okay, if Jay Lethal go there, how can I say this? He would have to work with Punk, Danielson, FTR, singles matches and whatnot, MJF. I could say Darby Allin. He might want to work with Sting. I can see him doing business with Cody Rhodes. Got a cough. Sorry if that was too much in your ear. I couldn't get to OBS Studio and mute it. He can work with Brock Anderson, and anyone working with Arn, anyone working with Tully. I would say anybody that is working with Cody Rhodes. Not saying Cody Rhodes is good or great, but he's all right. But anyone working with him, he could get some good matches with. When it comes to Jungle Boy, Luchasaurus, and whatnot, no. I can see him getting something out of Christian Cage, but no. When it comes to a lot of people in AEW, Jay needs to be in there in a squash match, beating them, and those that I've named, those would be elevation things. And Jay and Kenny Omega working together, it would look clumsy. That's what I would think, unless Jay was the one leading that match. Like Darby Allin needs to be led. You could see that tonight, but it was beautiful. That match was beautiful with MJF. The crowd hates MJF, right? But they end up chanting his name. Granted, it was the back and forth with the name things, but they were still chanting his name because it went from "I hate you" to "Oh my goodness, look at this wrestling match that I've been pulled into," and they couldn't help it. And I'm not going to spoil that match. Just watch it. It's beautiful. That's a beautiful match, man. I busted tears on that. Jay Lethal going to AEW is something that I am not a fan of, but I understand. You got to pay the bills. You got to keep your life going. And if you love wrestling, you got to go to some place where you can at least get it in. I can see Jay chilling and just being on Dark or Dark Elevation and just relaxing. And I can see the NWA next year, if they keep things going like it is now, I can see Jay Lethal being there next year. Besides, think about it. NWA, Ring of Honor, AEW, they had a working relationship, at least for a little bit. So that means Jay could go there. You know, it's like the territories are coming back in a very slow, big stage way. You know, and I'm gonna say this about Game Changer Wrestling. If they got serious with their commentary, they got serious with the competition, if they stop all the stupid and just wrestle, don't bury moves, show that the matches can be built from ground up and tell a story in that ring, if they can do that, I promise you, seriously, it would not take long with a lot of people that they got with various height, size. They could eclipse AEW almost overnight. They just got to stop catering to the fans and stop catering to the lowest common denominator and just do what's right for professional wrestling, to get the crowd into it, to believe it, to love it, to hate the heels and love the faces, and for their wrestlers to act like they got some sense in that ring. It sounds like an overhaul, but if they did that, they would eclipse AEW with no problem. And they'd be making some buku money. They got a loyal crowd, a loyal following, so you got that. They're not going to go anywhere. Now it's time to expand and get and elevate, you know? And it gives another place for people who are serious about their craft to go. You know, Jay Lethal would be able to go there. Jay Lethal is serious about his work. He doesn't put too much time and energy to just go into whateverville and do whatever, whenever. You know, I think Jay Lethal going to AEW I'm not happy, but I understand. You know, that's where I'm at. I'm not happy, but I understand. And I am hoping that he will be there until Ring of Honor come back. And I'm hoping Ring of Honor does not. Ring of Honor, what they did was, just think about, I don't know how long maybe it was in the works, but WWE for NXT, it was like, hey, we're revamping NXT and look at the colors and all this. And suddenly Ring of Honor is doing roughly the same thing, but it's more of a hiatus. I don't know about this. I'm just hoping that Ring of Honor don't mess this up. Because it's a hiatus. They're not done. They've already got arenas booked. They're not going to do contracts. So it's almost like, and look, them not doing contracts isn't a bad thing. It could be a good thing. Because if they're not doing contracts, that means that the wrestlers would be viewed as individual contractors. And they would have to get paid like, do you put asses in seats? Jay Lethal was a guy that put butts in seats. He did that. Brody King, butts in seats. Jonathan Gresham, small guy, big heart, larger skill, and put a lot more butts in seats. He went from who's this little guy to we respect this guy. We want to see this guy. This guy is devastating. Ring of Honor was propelling people to the grand stage, making themselves that very stage. So I'm hoping that while Jay's going to be in AEW, and maybe Jay can be a ring general there, just like Punk, just like Bryan Daniels, just like Christian Cage, just like MJF, these ring generals that are leading these matches and having great matches with people that was otherwise just garbage spot monkey wrestlers. They're pulling them out of that and having amazing matches. You look at Darby Allin when he first got to AEW to now, that's two different people. Absolutely two different people. I can get behind and cheer for this Darby Allin, albeit for this match for Full Gear, I was not cheering for Darby Allin. He had the Kengen Ashura face paint of that crazy guy. When they, get the blood pumping, he's like, "I'm going to kill you now. Prepare to die." And he was like the jackwad of the family basically of the bad guy family. Not many people are going to get that. But he had that perfect face paint. It was beautiful artwork, man. That was, good grief, that was epic. Wow. It's like he ripped that shit off the screen. I would like to see Jay Lethal go to AEW and help bolster in traditional wrestling with a modern twist, and not just modern wrestling that shuns traditional ways. And Jay Lethal got a tool bag that there's no construction worker or plumber or whatnot that could carry. He's got a lot. And he could bring a lot to the company. A whole lot. I think Jay Lethal would be nothing but a benefit there. And if AEW goes into we're not going to contract you, we'll just use you, bring you in, let you go, you can go somewhere else. That means you got the freedom. It needs to change another part of the wrestling landscape. I'll probably talk about that later or something. I don't know. Y'all probably don't even care to hear that. So I'll leave it up to the request if you want to or not. But yeah. And plus, I added a whole lot of other stuff in this because why Zimbo times 2 and anyone else listening? Because I could have easily just broke this down into about 2 or 3 minutes. But I might not be able to do commentary for a little bit for YouTube, maybe a couple of days or a week. It depends. I'll be focused mainly on Spreaker. And you see that, where it says podcast down there. That's where I'm going to be focused. So, make an account there is free. Sign up, listen, and you can go there and stuff, comment and whatnot. I'll be checking Spreaker and anything like that. I'll be checking that like every 2 or 3 days and whatnot until I can get a good rhythm going. Pretty much like what the NWA is doing, trying to find that rhythm. And they're getting there. It's just not, it's not ready for Jay Lethal yet. Jay Lethal has to have the opening to even go there. So NWA is getting there and I like it. I just hope this turns out well. I just hope they don't garbage him out. If you watch the matches after MJF and Darby Allin, that's what I hope doesn't happen. FTR and the Lucha Brothers. I'm gonna spoil this. That match was dumb. There was a lot of good things, but as you know, kick out of everything, kick out of every legit finisher, double team finisher, cheat spot finish, everything. Kick out of everything. And then the end of the match was absolutely, it made no sense. I don't get it. Now they want to use it as you got the wrong guy, you pinned the wrong guy, and we need a rematch. And I'm like, you can't rematch them. We've seen it. Do everything. I say in the first 4 minutes, just do everything you possibly can to a wrestler without selling, because that would condense everything that they did. And then, just see who would win and be it. Because I was hoping that FTR would win. They gave me chills when they came out. Music hit and they came out in those beautiful robes. I was like, Midnight Express is back, man. That's all I could. I was like, they need to change their name, Midnight Express. That's what they need to do. You know, what, the Brainbuster Express? Any case, look, I hope I answered your question. I hope maybe I brought you a little ease of mind about Jay going there, because a year ago I'd be like, oh, ew, no, Jay, no. Now it's more like, I can see Jay's a leader. He's a leader. I don't know if he's a locker room leader, but I don't think anyone could lead the locker room of AEW. They seem to be like, you know how wrestlers are. If you're a fan and you're gonna hang with a wrestler, you want, hey, look, maybe you should try this. It would suit you well, and they would just brush you off. They're not gonna listen. And not MJF even pulled the rug from them and say, hey, look, they don't listen. He's like, they don't listen to anybody on anything. He's like, I listen to all the people that's paved the way for me to even be here. He said, nobody else listens to anything that anybody else got to say. That is a horrible breeding ground. There is no leader. There is nothing. You just find people to work with and you stick with them. And that's a clique that's going to form slowly but surely. And it probably already has. It's hard to say. So we'll just see how Jay is. You know, we'll see how AEW uses them. We'll see how Tony Khan uses them and whatnot. See what matches they come up with. You know, Jay Lethal is world-class, world championship material. And I know that he's not going to go there because they're focused on Punk and Bryan Danielson. Right now, for world title, they're focused on Bryan Danielson. So, you know, and yeah, just think about it. Jay Lethal working with Bryan Danielson or CM Punk, or working with Christian Cage, MJF. Come on. Zemo ×2. Anyone else out there? They're not dream matches. No one knows what a dream match is anymore. But that's a high profile match right there. That's beautiful. Just the thought of it. Ooh, give me chills. Just the thought of that. I like to see it. I like to see him work with Dax Harwood. I like to see him work with Brock Anderson and some others. Those would be some good matches. And he needs to stay with the only people that he's going to get a good match with and stay away from the garbage people, unless he's going to run right through them in about 3 minutes. That's what I think about Jay Lethal and how he should be used in AEW. Competitive with those that know how to work and just run through those that can't. Jungle Boy, I would say give him a 7-minute match out of respect. Something like that. You know? But y'all, you know, let me know what y'all, you know, really think. I know mixed feelings, but, you know, maybe elaborate on it, or maybe I've altered your mind or so, you know, but I say maybe next year, February, March, he might hit up the NWA. He might be able, if they can keep this going, he'll be all right there. AEW, best fit for now. So, this has been Cedric Kennedy for CR Wrestling Commentary. Viewer requested thoughts on Jay Lethal signing with AEW, requested by Zemo ×2. Y'all stay safe, stay cool, keep each other protected and whatnot. So, and since it's 7:30 p.m., 7:32, it changed. Good night. See you next time.